Hello, cooking enthusiasts. In today's video, I'm going to update you all on some of my fermentation projects. I've mentioned these in videos before, but I also have a few new ones to discuss. So if you're new, this will be a good way to catch you all up on some of the stuff I've got fermenting. The first update is a little fermented citrus project I've been working on. I do my fermented citrus in a pretty standard 10% salt brine for a good 4 weeks. Recently, I did a standard jar of fermented lemons, but I also did some experimental versions. The experimental fermented lemons were actually in a brine made from the buttermilk of my Parmigiano cultured butter mixed with a little bit of whey from my homemade Greek yogurt, and the experimental fermented limes were in a brine made from smoked water. The slightly different composition of the brine definitely slowed down fermentation a little bit, but fermented citrus is already a multi-week process, so that's not a huge deal. The fermented limes could have definitely been a bit more smoky, so I need to make a stronger smoked water next time. The experimental lemons in the dairy-based brine were really interesting. They weren't super pungent or funky or even overly acidic, but they had an interesting secondary flavor and almost sweetness compared to the normal fermented lemons. They're definitely something I need to explore more in the future. I also attempted to make my own version of gochujang, which is the Korean fermented chili paste used to make kimchi, among other things. I sort of freestyled the recipe based off a few other recipes, but I ended up using my fermented apple pulp and some more Parmesan buttermilk. Not much to say about that one just yet. It tastes okay and is definitely spicy, but some of my additions haven't made a huge impact, at least not yet. Some relatively long-time viewers might remember the video when I started a balsamico-style vinegar out of watermelon. In an attempt to make real balsamico, I cooked down the watermelon and also added some sugar to increase the starting amount of sugar in the mixture. I then let it go through both alcoholic and acetic acid fermentation. It's been aging for a few months now with bourbon barrel pieces to somewhat replicate barrel aging. Recently, I pureed it to achieve a smoother texture and transferred it to 3 smaller jars with wide openings. My hope is that this change will encourage some slight evaporation and concentration of flavor that real balsamico undergoes over several years in barrels. Although I am slightly concerned about the direction of the vinegar because right now a strong almond flavor that I believe is from the oak is dominating, but hopefully that will mellow out in the future. Finally, a quick update on a cider that I started in January. I don't think I've mentioned it in a video before, but I did post about it on Instagram, so be sure to follow me there. It's just a basic cider with some random apples that my caregiver was able to get, and I actually fermented it with yeast from my sourdough starter. It's definitely sour, but not in a vinegar way, in a pleasant lactic acid way, and super dry, but not harsh and alcoholic. Now it just needs to be bottled and aged for a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and be sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.